I recently took a trip to Japan, and naturally, as one does while in Japan, you buy a lot of stuff you don't need. And when I went to go show said stuff to my friends and family, I'm pretty sure the result I got was they all think less of me now. So to justify my life choices, I'm going to show you everything I bought during my 16 days in Japan, and tell you some stories about my trip.
Starting off, you can probably already guess why my family now thinks the way they do. This is everything Kingdom Hearts related I bought while I was in Japan. So the two on the sides here are actually a funny story because I bought them at a secondhand store by just complete chance. I saw them there and I paid probably way too much for them. Don't remember how much I paid for them anymore, but I saw them at the Square Enix cafe when I went there and I was like, oh, those are really cool. I wish I could get some. And there they are. They're pretty cool. The one in the middle here is actually a music box that plays Dearly Beloved. I think I got it from under the Tokyo Skytree, and it's really cool, but I'm not going to turn it because I know that Disney will be so far up my ass if I do. The one in the middle here is actually a Sora figure from the Square Enix Cafe in Akihabara. I paid probably too much for it, honestly. I saw it at secondhand shops and I probably should have bought it there, but it's really cool. This one's actually so big I can't really put it in frame correctly. What it is Titus from Final Fantasy X, if that wasn't already obvious. Super cool figure and everything. I think I got this one from the new figure tower in Akihabara. I think I'll put a picture up for it right now. It was a pretty penny, but you know, it was worth it in the end. Now the next thing I got here is actually something I got from the Godzilla store. I am a huge Godzilla fan. Massive Godzilla fan. You can even see it right there. There's score. But this here is actually a collection of comic books from a certain author. I'll put the author's name right up here on screen because it's all in Japanese. As you can see, I can't actually read it. I only bought it for one reason and one reason only, which is the fact that it has a comic called Godzilla in Hell. This comic is hilarious. If you haven't seen it, you should go and read it. It's really cool.
Okay, future me here. It turns out this book doesn't actually have Godzilla in Hell in it. What it really is a complete comic series created by Matt Frank and a bunch of other people, ironically from the US, and was translated to Japanese. Still cool, but not the book I thought it was. Moving on.
Now that I've shown you some of the big stuff, I want to show you some of the cool little stuff I bought. So we're just going to go one by one here. This little guy here I bought from the Godzilla store, and apparently he's just a little bottle cap to have on top of your Coke or something. Why you would want to do this? I don't know, but it was really cool. So I got it. Come on, focus. This here is a little fauna I got from a gacha machine, and it's actually really cool. Can either be a keychain or a little stand. This little button right here is actually a pin from the top of the Tokyo Skytree. The Tokyo Skytree at the time of when I was in Japan had a Pokemon crossover event where the whole entire top of the tower was Pokemon themed, blasting Pokemon music. It was really, really cool. I really wish I was more into Pokemon because if I was, this would have been a great experience, but unfortunately, I'm not huge into Pokemon that much anymore. This here is a little acrylic stand that I also got from under the Tokyo Skytree from this little shop. It's really cool. How many times am I going to say cool in this sentence? Can I describe things any other way than cool? This thing right here is actually a tiny little gacha machine that I got from a gacha machine. And if you turn the little thing, I think, come on. There we go. There it is. A little gacha ball comes out. This here is actually a deck of cards that I got at a random shop while walking down some random street. I don't know. The shop was really cool, but it had a bunch of random things in it like Star Wars figures and Funko Pop, bunch of random stuff. And I found these little deck of cards over there and I thought it was really, really neat. So I bought them. I don't play cards, so I also don't have friends. So that was a bit of an oversight, but you know, I bought them anyway. This here is a little Kingdom Hearts cup that I got for like 600 yen at this one store in Akihabara. Oh, I remember the store actually. The store's name was Radio Akihabara or something like that. And it was one of the shops inside of the giant building. If you've ever been to Akihabara, you would know what building I'm talking about. If you like anything anime or gaming related, you gotta go to that store whenever you're in Japan because the amount of stuff in this store is ridiculous. My recommendation to you is when you go there, do not go on a weekend because you will be stuck in a human wave of people. Now, these two things here are actually coasters from two different Final Fantasy cafes, which is actually kind of funny. This one here is from a Dawn Trail cafe I went to when I met up with some random guys I met off the street. This coaster actually has a story behind it. When I was in Akihabara, I was wandering around, and because this was a solo trip, I had nobody to do anything with. And I noticed that these two guys behind me were kind of lost lost. So I approached them and we ended up hanging out for the entire day and finding this little cafe. And this was the coaster that I got from the cafe. This coaster is actually from the Square Enix cafe, which is funny enough, right down the street from the other cafe. I got this one a couple days later when I had my reservation. From what I can tell, I think this is the worst coaster I could have gotten, but I like this one. It looks cool. This here is actually a wallet. I thought it was a coin pouch when I bought it. I don't remember where I bought it. It was in Akihabara. Most of this stuff is from Akihabara. It is a Frieren Mimic wallet. It's actually really kind of cute. I don't really think I'll use it. It's kind of small. And it came with this really cool Frieren keychain, which I'll show a picture of right here because I don't have it with me right now. But I thought it was just a really nice purchase for what it was. Moving on, this is just going to be a quick one. I got this one from a raffle outside of a Gigo arcade. I think it's from one of the time I got reincarnated as a slime. Never actually watched the show, but I heard it's really good. Next thing up is this Kingdom Hearts Oathkeeper keychain I actually got from, again, under the Tokyo Skytree at this little shop. It is really cool and it's made of metal. I've said cool again, god damn it, but you get the point. This next one has a fantastic story behind it. This right here is just a simple Xenoblade 3 replica of Noah's sword. Nothing unusual about it, so you may be thinking, why does it have such a great story? Well, you see, this little sword almost prompted a finger up my butt. When I was going through TSA, or the equivalent of in the Japanese government, or customs, or whatever, they scanned my luggage and I had this in my carry-on, and they thought it was a knife. They pulled me aside and they told me to open up my bag, and I knew immediately what it was. I didn't even think about it. I have never, ever flown. So I didn't even think about putting something knife-shaped in my luggage. But I thought about it then. I thought all the things that they were going to do to me. I thought I was getting the finger up my butt. I thought I was going to get strip searched. But thankfully, in Japan at least, I don't know if it's like this all the time, the guy I got was super nice because as soon as he walked over, I asked him, I was like, they thought this was a knife, wasn't it? And he goes, yeah. And all he did was, tell me to open it. He looked at it, he kind of poked himself with it to see if, if it was sharp. At the end of the day, nothing came about it. Scared the ever-loving shit out of me, that's for sure. But, now I have a story behind it. Now, the last one of these little tiny items that I think I got here is the Aviat Headphones Heroine model, I think. And I got these when I went to the SAO escape room in Shinjuku. That's what it was, Shinjuku. The SAO escape room in Shinjuku from the Tokyo Matrix. I bought these there because I thought they were really cool, and when I saw them, I couldn't help the opportunity to get them. This is what they actually look like. And you may be thinking, like, why'd you get the Heroine model? You're probably not thinking that at all, because who gives a fuck? The reason I got them is because if I would have got the Hero model, there would only been 2 voices. But in the Heroine model, you get 5 voices that actually talk to you, and they have a bunch of different voice lines, and I forget which characters are there. I'll show them up on screen right now, but they're pretty cool. So now that we got some of the little stuff out of the way, let's go back to the big cool stuff. All right, up next is going to be some more Xenoblade stuff. This right here is Rex from Xenoblade 3, if you couldn't tell. These two things I actually found together in Akihabara, who would have guessed. The back is actually a art book from Xenoblade 2 that shows a bunch of the art and stuff like that. Very cool. The front is obviously just a acrylic stand of Rex from Xenoblade 3. Chatosaurus Rex. Wow, I can't believe I just fucking said that. All right, last book, I promise. This is actually a complete guidebook to all of the challenges that were inside of the escape room at the Tokyo Matrix for the SAO game. The SAO escape room was probably one of the coolest things I did while I was in Japan. At the time, I didn't think I was actually going to get to be able to play it because you needed 2 people, and like I said, I went solo, and nobody seemingly online wanted to come and join me, even though I was willing to pay for it. I did end up finding somebody to go later on, but I actually went there ahead of time to buy some stuff there in case I didn't get to go. I highly recommend you look up a video on the SAO escape room. It's really cool. While we're on the topic of SAO, here's some more stuff I got. The Asuna figure right there, I actually got from a claw machine. Believe it or not, I got it from a claw machine without using any help. I did not pull the Sumimasen card. I just got very lucky and figured out the trick pretty quickly. The Shion figure, or Shion, I don't know how to say her name. I always forget. Anyway, I got her from a secondhand store because 1, I thought it looked really cool, and 2, Shion is actually one of my favorite characters. I always liked her arc in the anime. And then the Kirito figure from, I think, the same movie as the Asuna figure, I got at a secondhand store because it was literally dirt cheap, and I'm assuming nobody wanted it because that shit's ugly looking. I only got it because it matched the Asuna figure and it was dirt cheap. The 2 little acrylic stands down there are actually from the Radio Akiba, I think, store. I found them just to go with my little swords I have on my shelf already. They're tiny little swords, and I thought I'd put them next to them, and I thought they were cool. The middle one is actually a item from the SAO escape room. It's like the physical representation of it. The SAO escape room, how it works is you have these items that you get from completing different quests and challenges, or you can buy them and start off with them. This item, I don't really remember what it does, but they also sell them in a gacha style where they had this 3 buckets, and each bucket had a different set of items and a different set of pictures and stuff like that in different levels. I think it was like 1 through 4. And I really wanted this Kirito one, but I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not gonna spend 10 bucks a pop trying to get this thing. So I picked the bucket that I wanted, and believe it or not, I got it first try. My luck with the gacha when I was in Japan was ridiculous. All right, the next one here is a tiny little Amelia Watson. I think it's her Nintendoroid. I was gonna get one of these when they came out, but I think they sold out pretty much immediately. But I found one at a tiny little pop-up store, and I thought it was cool, so I bought it. All right, the next one here is actually a tiny little Figma Goblin Slayer. I got this one at the Akihabara Figure Tower as well, and the paint job on this thing is ridiculous. I just thought it was so cool. My D&D character is actually inspired by Goblin Slayer, but instead of slaying goblins, he is the Dragon Slayer. I know, original, right? But anyway, I thought it was really cool. Moving on. The next two are nice and simple. I got this one free rent from another secondhand store, and this fern is actually the one with the funny story. I was in a Gigo with some guys I met online, and we're just going around trying to win some stuff, and I saw this fern in a crate machine, and the night prior, by myself, I had won that little Asuna figure back there. So I'm like, oh, I got this. I can do this. No problem. I'm the crane master. I was indeed not the crane master, because I then proceeded to stand there for about 25 minutes. This fern became the bane of my existence. Eventually, this family behind us was now waiting for me to go and get this thing out of this machine. They are cheering me on. I have no idea why. And eventually, I felt so bad because I could tell one little girl was really trying to get it. I just gave up and walked away. I couldn't do it. I felt so bad and I felt so embarrassed. But after they won, because they won immediately afterward, I came back and I was determined. So I kept going and going. And eventually the worker just kept seeing I was messing up and he just kept putting it in the same spot. Same family comes back, is now cheering me on again, and I'm just sitting there beat red trying to get this thing in the fucking hole, getting it over with, and the thing kept not going in. He kept resetting it just on the edge, where it's like all you have to do is push it down. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Eventually, after many attempts and a lot of embarrassment, I did do it. So this fern pisses me off when I look at it, but it's a good reminder of how fun that trip was. Now, the last figure I bought was actually of Scassa, I think is how you say her name. I am probably butchering the ever-loving fuck out of that. I don't know how to say it. It was the only figure that I could find of the character, so don't judge me too hard for what it is, I guess. I'm a huge fan of the series, so I wanted to get something related to it, and I found a figure on a random shelf, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy that, which is actually not true. I actually had to recruit somebody to come with me to buy it because I was too embarrassed to buy it. And this is actually the newest volume of the manga, which is 28. I can't read it, but I just wanted to say that I bought manga while I was in Japan, and it's really cool. I think this is like 550 million copies sold. I think it's like celebrating that. One thing I learned while in Japan is that us in America, we are getting screwed by buying manga. You go on Amazon, this series is $13. You know how much I bought this for? 400 something yen, which is like $3. Then again, we are getting a more premium book. Let me actually go show you what a American book versus a Japanese book looks like. This right here is a Japanese manga. It's matte, kind of thin, kind of small. And this is an American manga. The front cover is glossed over. It's got a bunch of stuff on it. And it's just generally overall bigger than the Japanese manga. Why that is, I don't know. But I mean, I guess it makes sense why we're paying 3 times the price.
Okay, and last but not least, here are my bochis. All of these bochis here and that one little Miku in the corner does actually have a story behind it. However, this video is now very long, and the story of how I actually got them is pretty funny and could honestly be a video on its own. But that's gonna have to be a video for a different time. To wrap things up, I'm pretty sure this is almost everything I bought while I was in Japan, other than a few things that I either forgot to include in the video, which is maybe 1 or 2, or gifts I've already given away that I can't show anymore. I've got plenty of stories about when I went went to Japan, and I'm sure this won't be the last time I'll be talking about it. So if you're curious, stick around, maybe leave a comment. I'd be happy to talk about it down below. But as you can probably hear in my voice right now, I'm very tired, so I'm going to be ending it here. Thank you so much for watching this far, and I hope to see you around.